Let me extend a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. Bruchim habaim, achlan vesachlan. I hope that this is more or less understandable, but I fear that this is all the intercultural competence that I will be able to present to you in terms of language skills so far. And please don't try to get more out of me. Let me start with a little anecdote, knowing that I'm in the land of the wise jokes. Kofi Annan, the former UN General Secretary, once illustrated the launch of a climate justice campaign with a nice but somehow sarcastic little climate joke. He said, "A cow and a chicken are discussing hunger in the world. I know how we can solve this," says the chicken. "I provide the eggs, you provide the steak. Job done." "Hang on for a minute, says the cow, kind of irritated, smelling that there's something going on. "For you, that means a contribution. For me, it's total commitment." I think this is a good and helpful metaphor for our discussion today. Commitment, as you all know, also belongs to a certain extent to religion and is thus a very necessary religious behavior. There is no religion on the world which is not asking for commitment. And just a contribution without any heartfelt emotion is not enough and cannot really be regarded as true faith. But there's a difference between commitment and total commitment. As we see in regard to fundamentalists and ideologues, this is what in my eyes separates ideologies from religions. Ideologies cannot be sustainable without total commitment. But it is total commitment that makes ideologies and fundamental beliefs so very dangerous. Coming from Germany, where not only one of the first green parties in the world had been founded, but ecology plays a very dominant role in the political and public discussion, I would like to include the warning that ecology has the potential to be an ideology, even to become some kind of a substitute religion, including everything a true religion has: doubters, believers, but also heretics and deniers. I think what we are doing here today has two perspectives, and I try to be very brief. It is a necessity and a provocation in the same time. Why a provocation? The provocation can be found, I think, in the title of the conference, Faith and Ecology. The word faith comes from the Latin word, as you are surely aware of, the Latin word fidem, which means trust in God. In the leading encyclopedias, it is not only a synonym for hope and belief, it is also defined to be belief that is not based on proof. Faith can in that sense be, and has been in world history, easily misunderstood as fatalism. God will do it, God will take care of it. Who am I to change the world? Why can religion make the difference? Why can religion be a driver for ecological thinking without the danger of eco-fundamentalism? All world religions, at least the monotheistic ones, support more or less the concept of the human dignity. That means religion and faith are not only about the relation that we have to God, because the relation that we have to God also influences the relation that we have to others. Religion intends and does influence social behavior to a very large extent besides its eschatological dimension. It constitutes a personal responsibility vis-à-vis God and, of course, vis-à-vis our fellow citizens. Thus, it can also have a moderating function. That is my true belief. If, and this if is very important, we take the interreligious dialogue serious. The social responsibility is a common denominator in all religions. This is especially important in regard to ecology with the international dimensions of its problems. And this is the second dimension, and then I'm closing pretty soon, the necessity. If personal and societal responsibility is somewhat bound to religion, it is high time to act responsible now. Even if one would not share all the assumptions of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, looking at the more than 100 studies and more than 30,000 data series on climate change, there should not be the slightest doubt, not the slightest doubt that the climate change poses a major threat to all our societies, to the justice, the wealth, and the welfare of our nations. In the 80s in Germany, you could find a lot of cars with a sticker that said, there is just this one word. Let us not act and behave like we have a second one in the trunk of our car. This brings me again to the personal responsibility. It might sound banal, but the global dimension of the ecological questions are not only a challenge to the political elite, to the governments, to the legislators. The best law is nothing without compliance. If we really put this combination of faith and ecology in one nutshell, it means that the dramatic results of climate change and environmental damage are not to be prevented without personal responsibility and appropriate behavior. And this sense of personal responsibility will only be sustainable in the truest sense of the word if this is embedded in a set of clear and binding values. If you again allow me to close with a personal remark, there is rarely one sentence that touches me more than the one which comes from the Talmud. The one who saves a life, one single soul, saves a life, the whole world. And similar formulas can be found as well in the Quran and in the New Testament. Saving the world begins with us. If that has nothing to do with faith and ecology, I do not know what's actually true. I hope that this conference will, in this sense, give new credibility to the concrete importance of the interreligious dialogue, as well as to the importance of ecological awareness. I wish all of you, all of us, a very fruitful and successful conference. A big thank you to our partners, especially to the Interfaith Center represented by Rabbi Jonathan Nerrill, and also to the Salesian Pontifical University Jerusalem campus represented by Father Bijou. Where's Father Bijou? Over there. Thank you so much for the very good and fruitful cooperation. And coming back to the cow and the chicken for a moment, your contributions are warmly welcomed, as well as your commitment. And believe me, with the help of the breaks and the refreshments, we will make sure that your health is not at all endangered. Thus, my very final word is very short: enjoy.